Jesus is real, I know the Lord is real to me. The melodies from heaven.
What's going on, everybody? I hope y'all are well out there, and I hope my Jared tones are well too. So I am Jaren. I am a voice teacher, speech trainer, and the founder and owner of this amazing studio, the Jaren Emliger Studio. I'm excited for this video. I've never done this group before, but this group is very special to me for many reasons that I'll explain while the video is going on. But several of you have requested this video, and because of Black History Month, I'm going to do this video. So before I get into explaining what the video is, we're going to tell you right now that I'm going to start and stop a lot while the video is happening. So if you like starting and stopping and talking about things as they happen in the moment, then go on to another video, or click the link below and watch the video without me talking and just watch it in full. But if you mind stopping and starting and talking about things as they happen, then this is the channel and the video for you, so stick around. But I also recommend watching the video without me talking so you get the full effect, okay? Like I said, this group is very special to me. They are a wonderful group who have been nominated for a Grammy for the 2023 Grammy Awards. So I'm excited to talk about them and to share their gift here on my channel. So this is going to be a super intricate medley of gospel in terms of the historical, chronological order of gospel music as it's progressed in time, okay? So we're going to start way back and it go right up into what's happening right now. So it's supposed to be a lot of songs in one, okay? So I'll do my best to kind of show y'all what's going on, but like I said, if you need to, watch the full video in the description box, okay? But in the meantime, let's get into this amazing arrangement of the sounds of gospel music by King's Return.
Steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here.
You see how long their vowels were? Steal away home, I ain't got long to stay here. It was a little bit more choral in execution there when they were doing those vowels right there. Steal away home, I ain't got long to stay here.
Doop-a-doo, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You see how now their vowels change a little bit more brighter. This little light of mine, yeah. Before it was steal away home, this little light of mine. So these small intricate changes are going to happen throughout this whole video.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. Ooh, soon I will be done with the troubles of the world, going home to live with God.
So I love how they did Precious Lord, Take My Hand, and the harmonies almost reminded me of barbershop quartet harmonies. For those of you who know what that is, so something said, ooh, and then it got staccato right after that. You know, and then the bass came in there, Gabriel, he came in there. I can't even think to sing that low, as much as I be trying. I can't get that low. So God bless all y'all who get that low, okay? God bless y'all, because it ain't me.
Specializes how I got over, how I got over, how I got over, how I got over. I'm telling you that
how I got over, smooth, choppy, okay? How I got over, and it was over, not over. Now, y'all know that song do something to me, how I got over. Because my soul looks back and wonders, ooh, how I can see out, okay? I'ma act good, y'all. I know it's early. Hey, it looks back and wonders. Ooh, all right, here we go.
I won't be back, I won't be back, I won't be back no more. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus won. When Jesus won. He washed my sins away. God is the joy and the strength of my life. Through it all. He moves all pain, misery, and strife.
So you notice when they did Oh Happy Day, it was more straight notes there. When Jesus washed, and it switched, God is the joy and the strength of my life. So it was a little bit more rounded, a little bit more longer vowels, vibrato, a little bit more drama. It had a little bit more glissando-y type stuff. God is the joy, a little more swells, and the strength of my life. He moves all pain, misery, and strife. I was telling Instagram and I did this clip. I did a short clip of this on Instagram, and I posted this on Facebook as well on my personal page. I was telling them how much I miss singing and hearing some of this stuff. I didn't grow up in the 1800s, obviously, but like from the 60s, 70s to like the 2000s was my era. Though I wasn't born until the 80s, I grew up listening to the 70s and 60s because of my parents. So I listened to Walter Hawkins, I listened to Edwin Hawkins, I listened to the Winans, all these artists who I grew up listening to. And then, you know, from like the 80s, 90s, Hezekiah Walker, you know, whatever, all those people, Ricky Dillard, all these people who I listened to. And then in the 90s, you had God's Property, Kirk Franklin, 2000s, you know, Israel Houghton, all these songs that I grew up singing. A lot of this repertoire in here from like the 70s to 2000s is stuff I sang, you know, Commission, all that stuff is stuff, Clark Sisters, all these people are people who I looked up to as music inspiration. And so, you know, I kind of like, oh my gosh, just music. And it makes me miss singing this stuff because, you know, obviously we're in 2023, so obviously a lot of this stuff from the era that I just named, you know, 70s to 2000s is kind of old now. It's 20 years ago. So this medley really brought me that memory lane in that way. It really made me think about it, reminisce on all the stuff I heard when I was little. But even thinking about like my grandmother singing some Walter Hawkins material, her lead was "Everywhere you go, there is trouble. Dun, dun. Everywhere you go, there is something that worries you. But remember, yeah, hey, God is standing by." Let me stop because I'm gonna get caught up. But she sang that, and she sang, "Oh Lord, how excellent is thy name." Even my mom, she was singing "Don't Take Your Joy Away." Don't take your joy away. Like my mom was singing that stuff when I was little. Anyway, I'm gonna get caught up in all this stuff. All that to say, this medley really made me think about all those songs that I grew up listening to. Ain't no need of worrying, all that stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up because I'm going too long. Let me get into the video.
I've promised to keep me, never to leave me. I never ever come short on His word. What is this? That I feel deep inside.
I feel deep inside. That little walk down was nice. That I feel. However it went, that was a nice little walk down right there that he did.
Whatever it is, thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Lord, I'm available to you. Ordinary just won't do. I need someone, my Lord, I need someone.
I love the polyphony here. Boom, doom, doom, doo, doom, ding, da, boom, doo, doo. So each do or each little ooh that they're doing right there, it came at a different spot or different beat in the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that polyphony right there, kind of the thump or the strumming of like a guitar or a harp or something, just that constant rhythm. Between their vocal moves and the constants that they were using, it was a really nice texture in that part.
That someone is you. Ain't no need of worrying what the night is gonna bring. No, it'll be all over in the morning.
So I'm gonna say something. That's my client right there, Vaughn, the one who just sang that. Ain't no need of worrying. That's my client right there. So that's why this group is special to me, because a member of this group is actually a client of mine. So shout outs to Vaughn. What's up, man?
That's what I live for. A place where love will never cease. Willing to die for.
Woo! Willing to die for. That was nice chord progression right there. And did you notice how the rhythm changed kind of the 80s? Obviously, because in the 1980s, it's what I do. So they kind of had more of like the 80s kind of almost like a video game type of sound, but that was very popular back then. That kind of more robotic. And their arrangements are very conducive to the actual song that these are derived from. If you go back and listen to each song that they have done in this medley and kind of the inspiration, the accompaniment or the underlining vocals besides the leads, they are very conducive stylistically to where the song was and how the song really sounded. So whoever arranged it, I think his name is Jared Jenkins, this was an excellent arrangement. You can tell Jared did their homework in how these songs sounded conducive to the time that they were sung in, you know. And I'm all about remixing stuff and stuff like that. Like, I'm all about that, you know. Let's try something new. Let's, you know, give this a new life, whatever. But I just like that this rendition or this arrangement, they really thought about the times that these songs were sung in and kind of made the sounds conducive, even in the vowel shapes, even in the articulation of the notes, conducive to the era that they were from.
Heaven is where I wanna be. You brought the sunshine throughout the lifeline. Since that I have found Christ, there has been such a change in my life. 1, 2. Jesus is real. I know the Lord is real to me. The melodies from heaven rain down on me.
Oh man, they doing the Clark sisters, John P. Key, Kurt Franklin. I told y'all. And I'm actually reacting blindly to the second half of this video. I didn't watch it all the way through, so I wanted to have a blind reaction. So that's why I'm kind of like excited hearing some of this stuff, because I didn't know this where we're going. But again, do you hear the changes in the pacing and rhythm that is conducive to the song that they're singing, you know? So in the 80s, it was way more kind of staccato and kind of percussive. You brought the sunshine, go through the lifeline. That in the 90s, I know the, so it had a little more of like a scoop to the beat. No, the dawn it brings to me, and they're using their voice to really kind of set the rhythms in that way, you know, in the different pacings of the songs.
Rain down on me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It won't work. Oh, after you've done all you can, you just the battle is not yours. It's the Lord. I lift my hands in total praise to. Need to know now. Gotta know.
So I like, again, these shifts. I lift my hands in total praise to you kind of had a more legato feeling, but that's Richard Smallwood. Richard Smallwood was very choral, musical theater, but then the shift happened here when it got a little more staccato. I just appreciate all of the change that they're doing here. It's really good, really, really good.
Good all the time, and all the time you are good.
Oh, the rundown he just did right there. Sing, y'all. He kind of has a little bit more of a tongue root sound in his voice, which is really cool. It's really nice texture. It kind of gives a warmth and a depth to his voice. In contrast, you know, everybody has a different sounding voice. I feel like the one next to him, to the right of him, has a more lighter approach to his voice. Maybe a little bit more airy. He had a little airy moments in his solos, things like that. Where the bass, he got that low stuff on lock. But what I've always appreciated about his bass sound is that his bass sound is always so clear. It's never like muddy or like whatever. It's always so clear. Though he's singing low, he's really purposeful and really clear in his vocal delivery in terms of just the clarity of his phonation. I really appreciate that. And of course, Vaughn, my boy, he got the high notes on lock, okay? But Vaughn is a trained singer as well, so he knows how he wants to use his instrument. He's very purposeful in his instrument use. So I appreciate the contrast of the 4 different artists in this group, but they make it sound so good and they gel together so well. I appreciate that about them.
The presence of the Lord is here. The presence of the Lord is here.
Ooh, that was instrumentation. That's kind of like the, what is it, the horns and the violins, whatever. That's how they do it in the song. It is very conducive, yep.
Here for every mountain, you brought me over. For every trial, you've seen me through. Never would have made it. Never could have made it without you.
transitions between all the songs, so you get so many songs jam-packed into one big project, you know? That's the cool thing about medleys, that you cover so many different things. Like, you know, I always want to like just sit there in one song and just be there, but I love how they blended so many songs into one big conglomerate of a piece of an arrangement. And it just comes to show you how pliable these songs are and conducive these songs are to their eras. You know, like they all have a certain vibe. Though they are different songs by all different artists, they all have certain vibes depending on the era, which is kind of interesting to kind of take note of. You know, like that's why each different era kind of gelled well together, because these songs are from the same era, so they have kind of the same undertone sound or the same type of sound or the same inspiration, whatever word you want to use there, because they're all from the same era. That's really interesting.
I need you now. There is no word. Have to encourage yourself. All of my life, I've never known you to fail. You remain the same, and wonderful is your name. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you.
What you gonna do?
I'm walking. What is it you think you see when you see me? You see me.
Mary better dominate this 2000s, okay? Mary better dominate. I mean, Shackles, oh my gosh. And they blended these songs so well, but you see now Mary is now taking over the 2000s and the 2010s. They're kind of transferring the late 2000s, because yeah, I probably was in high school when they was kind of coming out. Yeah, because I was singing Shackles at all the churches back in the day when I was singing a lot more. And Shackles was my lead, okay? In the corners of my mind, I just can't seem to find the reason to believe that I can break free. But anyway, to see that Mary is now kind of crossing over into another era in a new decade, that's interesting to note too.
I smile, even though it hurts, see I smile. I know God is working, so I smile, even though I've been here for a while. Take me to the King, I don't have much to bring. Break every chain, break every chain, break every chain.
Do you hear the bass, how he's kind of do dip dap do dip dap do I do dip dap do? He's keeping that bass line throughout every song. That's a lot to think about. I mean, just keeping that do da do I do da do. And you can hear that the consonants that they're using when they're trying to emulate instruments, they're very dental. Do. It's not do, you know. do. It's like do, almost like a soft dental D or T, depending on how you want to look at it. There is different ways of saying D and T in the English language, so to speak here. There's not just one way. You know, there's a dental, there's a soft T, there's so many different ways to say these different things. So they're using really intentional articulatory moves to make these sounds work for them.
Now it's time to celebrate. All banners raised. I got the victory.
Victory belongs to Jesus. Victory belongs to Him. Yeah.
Victory, kind of like a victory. It was very percussive / kind of like aspirate. Victory belongs to Jesus. And the aspiration comes from the fricativeness of the of the V. Victory belongs to Jesus. Victory belongs to Him.
I'm not going in cycles. Won't He do it? He said He would. Ooh, so I trust Him at all times. Ooh, you are Jireh. You are enough. You are Jireh. You are enough. And I will be content in every circumstance. Forever enough, more than enough, always enough. Ooh.
What I appreciate appreciate about that is even hearing the 2000s music and then thinking about how it came from, you know, the 1800s and how just time has progressed and how things are so different even now in the 2020s than it was in the 2010s and in the 2000s, and how things have evolved. That's crazy to hear. And such a history lesson in music in these 7 minutes. It was such a good history lesson. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. If you enjoyed this analysis, click subscribe down below to click the alert button next to it so you know when the next video is posted, and give this video a like and a thumbs up so it got to more people. And as I will always continue to say to you, be vocally bold, creative, and aware, but most of all, be vocally you. All right, y'all. See y'all soon.